evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 186th Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Madmouth, and we have a good show lined up tonight. Candy and I just came back from Mobile, Alabama, and we appreciated all the hospitality extended to those that were in charge of the Senior Bowl activities. It was cold; they couldn't make up for the weather, but they were very warm in the way they treated us. We had not a lot accomplished. Get to the agenda, very busy one. Please have my broadcast battery mate, Barry Foote. Glad to have you on, Barry.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
You're welcome. And Barry will have me off next week, but he'll be back the week after as a commitment. But that's okay. We enjoy Barry every time he comes on. But we've known the guy forever anyways. I've known him more than I see a lot of family members, and Barry is a family member to me. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. All right, Candy, he's also family, but in a different way. Right, Candy?
That's true. I hope everybody's staying warm because I know the whole country is dealing with the cold.
Yeah, they call it the Arctic blast is what they call it. And Tony with an LA cap, I guess he obviously read the notes. That's why he popped in with that piece of hat. So. All right, that's okay. At least he knows exactly where we're rolling with this show. And last but not least, Catsy. There's Eric. Hello, Eric. Goodbye, Eric.
Uh-oh.
Please don't be another Arctic blast on the air, Eric. Because everybody's freezing here. Oh well, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Eric.
Good to be back, Scott.
All right, good. The Arctic blast is defrosted pretty quick. All right, good stuff. All right, let's dive into a little bit of baseball history first, and then we'll go to August 23rd, 2011, as Craig Kimbrell ties a rookie record with his 40th save of the season. The previous record was set by Neftali Perez, and he ended up finishing with 46 saves in 79 games. He had 79 innings pitched, 127 Ks, 306, obviously, batters that he faced, 3.18, 3.10 earned run. He was All-Star and the AL Rookie of the Year as well. And he's also had a Cy Young Award. Barry, your thoughts about Craig Kimbrell as a whole?
Look, I think there's sort of a new way to, they're looking at these relievers, and I looked at his stats today. It'd be nice for him to finish up with a good season or two, but I think he's at 440 saves or somewhere in that ballpark. So, yeah, I think he's probably a Hall of Famer. I know he's got Hall of Famer stuff. He's got a bow locker breaking ball, and he's got a great fastball. So, yeah, I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Candy?
He's 37 years old. He's already struck out 1,282 batters. He's played for 10 different teams. So he's played for quite a while. 9-time All-Star. And 4-time National League saves leader. And he did pitch, and I'm going to say this, a combined no-hitter on June 24th of 2021. So he was part of it. So yeah, he's had a good career. I hope he does well this year, except, he's pitching for the Astros. So I hope he pitches well this year.
I don't know. Is he? We'll see about that.
Where is he? Yep.
Well, don't worry about it. I'll give something that you normally don't give in that stats. Don't worry about it. Okay. Don't worry about this one. I have it, Candy. We'll turn it over to Tony.
Other than Kenley Jansen, who is currently playing as well, everybody who's right above him has made it in. So if he could find a way to string together, 38 to 40 more saves throughout his career, that would be the numbers that'll get him there. But the thing is, I don't know if he will get to that. Signing a minor league deal, it looked like he's losing he's losing some of his stuff. So maybe if he can make something happen in spring training to probably string along at least one more good year, maybe two, I think that'll get him in. But he's still on the fence for me right now.
Well, see, you were leading to where I was going, so I might as well finish the job. You did sign a minor league. Oh, no, that's okay. Go great minds think alike. That means you're good. So you'll get to know the lingo of the show, but you've come a long way anyways. It doesn't matter. But he actually did sign a minor league deal with the New York Mets. I figure the Mets can only use his help to begin with after what happened a year ago. So I have a feeling he'll make them. So there you go, Candy. research done by other sources other than you, which you do 99 out of 100 times anyhow. But Kimbrel will be with the Mets. All right, Eric, close out the topic. Or attempt to
I
close
mean,
out the.
I think he's had a great career. He's been a great closer for a long period of time with multiple different teams. I don't see him getting 38 or 40 more saves because I really don't think he's a closer anymore. I think at this point the Astros he's not going to be the guy out of the bullpen in the ninth inning for Houston this season. That belongs to Josh Hader. So he might be he'd probably be a setup or seventh, eighth inning guy. He might get a save here or there, but he's not going to be putting up those numbers that he was putting up during the prime of his career. But I still think he's a Hall of Famer though, because he was such a great closer for a majority of the 2010s. I think, you could I'd probably put him with him and Kenley Jansen. You could say dominated that decade when it came to closers. So I wouldn't, to be truthful, I don't think he's gonna get those numbers per se though. But given what he did throughout the majority of his career during what is called his Hall of Fame, his table setting Hall of Fame years, I'd still put him in the Hall.
Okay, well, we'll continue the thought. All right, he's with the Mets.
What other?
Oh, go ahead. You finish. I'm sorry.
The closer has won Rookie of the Year since him.
Okay, so he's with the Mets. Barry, do you think should he get an opportunity? I think there's no doubt he will. He'll make a contribution to the New York Mets. Barry.
Oh, if he's got his stuff, he'll make a contribution. I kind of believe with what Eric said. I don't think he's going to get. Look, closers have become kind of like place kickers. When they're hot and going good, they're going to get an opportunity. He's got a history of being able to close, but whether he'll be a closer or setup guy, but I think he'll get an opportunity. I don't think there's any question about that, getting an opportunity. And he's got to take advantage of the opportunities.
Andy.
I think he'll get an opportunity, especially if you see any injuries going into that pitching lineup that they have. Will he be the end closer? I don't see him as that anymore, but you never know. If they need him to, he could.
Tony.
Yeah, I mean, you get a minor league deal for opportunity, right? To show what you can do.
Right.
But at that age, I think that's the thing, right? It's like, how many innings can he log? How will he look in August, right? In September? That's the question for it. But hey, these last couple of weeks, I've heard Barry say this a few times, and I've been saying that in my personal life. The thing about pitchers is they can figure out something in the offseason and they can have a real good year out of nowhere. So this could be, hey, who knows? That's what happens when you sign that minor league deal. You get a chance.
Great points all the way around, Tony. Eric.
He'll have his shots certainly, but I think in New York, it's Devin Williams is going to be that guy coming out of the ninth inning generally, but he'll have his shots. So, but I don't think you're going to see him putting up like 30, 40 saves next year.
I agree. Well, the Mets need him. If he gets 10, 15 saves, that's good enough, considering where they were down the stretch last year. Anything they can do would be an upgrade for sure. So, all right, let's continue on. Over the offseason, Dane Myers, Miami Marlins, got traded to the Reds for Ethan O'Donnell. Let's not lose sight of the fact that Terry Francona is managing that team. And I did a story on Dane Myers, a great kid. He got an opportunity to play in Miami, but now he'll have a chance to be able to play Barry for a team like the Reds where he can be an everyday player. What are your thoughts about Dane Myers? He's a good kid.
Well, I was looking at his
stats. Tigers too.
Yeah, I was looking at his stats today, and he showed some power in the minor leagues. So I think what they're looking at is, can they get a little lightning in the bottle? He's an older kid now. He's 29, and I think the Marlins probably saw him and decided that he was going to cost more for them to keep than he'd be worth to them when they can use a young guy and get him in there real cheap. So. I don't know the kid. You know him. If he's a good addition to the team, he's going to a great players manager. And they may get a guy that can hit 10 or 15 home runs on the infield, and that's hard to find.
Well, you just said it there, Barry. Great players manager. Terry Francona will get every ounce of ability out of Dane. Got a great attitude. The Tigers let him go. Got an opportunity with the Marlins. Showed glimpses and flashes. Now you put him to the Reds. You know, we all know that the Reds are not considered a big market team, putting it lightly. So this was an opportunity for him to go out there and play in that market, see what he can do. Hello, Bennett. Glad you're in the chat room. Much appreciated. Go ahead, Katie. Like myself, you saw a lot of Dane.
Dane, I like Dane. He's such a personal character. He's really good in the outfield. He got injured for the Marlins, lacerating his right knee when he collided with the outfield wall, attempting to make a catch. So that tells you that he's willing to, sacrifice his body to, get the catch. You don't always see that. I think, he came out during those COVID years and before his COVID years, and he's bounced around between Tigers and now Marlins. I think he just needs some really good coaching, and I think he'll be good.
Tony.
Yeah. Look, man, I love Terry.
Excuse me.
Dane Myers, given the versatility, I'm looking now. He played all three positions in the outfield last year. And that's something that you always need in baseball. You never know. It's a long season, 162 games, being able to plug and play and move people around. 235, I think, batting average is a thing of the past, right? Like, I think the average for the league was 240, so he's right around the league average. So I think he'll be good. It looks like the Reds are making moves to build a formidable team in the NL Central. So I'm sure he's happy to be on a contender, and that makes players play better too. I feel like players rise to the level of their teammates too. So that'll be good for him and the Reds.
Eric.
Well, he's 29 years old, so he's got some big league experience under his belt. I think what the Marlins decided was like he was a little, he just wasn't worth the cost, given that he's only been in the league for parts of 3 seasons. And, given that he's got some pop, though, he's going to a hitter-friendly ballpark in Cincinnati, and he's going to be going to a great manager in Terry Francona, which the Reds, I think, are going to be a playoff. I think they're going to at least contend for the postseason this year. And, Terry Francona, he gives his players every chance of the world to be successful. That's what he's been able to do everywhere he's gone. And I think Dane Myers will flourish under Francona, given that he'll actually have an opportunity to compete for more innings.
Yeah, no question about it. I agree with everybody. You can't play for Terry Francona. Honestly, outside of Don Mattingly, you can't really play for anybody. The Rockies announced that they'll unveil statues honoring franchise icons and Hall of Famers Larry Walker and Todd Helton in 2026. What are your thoughts about that gesture, Barry?
I think it's great. I mean, they were very good players. I got to see them as a coach, coaching against them, and those are quality guys. If you're going to try to have a legacy of a ball club, you got to start honoring your real great players, and I think is a smart move.
Yeah, I had an opportunity, believe it or not, when I was covering some practice league, to interview both players, and they're just both down-to-earth people. They really are. I'm glad that they ended up both getting in the Hall of Fame, too. I don't know if Todd Helton is in yet or not, but I know Walker's in. But either way, they both had great careers. I'm sure Candy will come up with that. But I'm glad they're being recognized up in the Mile High City. Go ahead, Candy.
What took them so long?
Right.
If you're going to be a club and you're going to have guys that represent you and played for a long time, I mean, Helton, his entire 17-year Major League Baseball career was for Colorado. Like, why did you wait this long? His last appearance for the Rockies was back in 2013. Yes, you need to start somewhere, but why would you have waited this long? And yes, kudos, because I think these are two very good representatives of your organization. So I'm all for them. And Helton was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 2024.
Beautiful. Thanks, Candy. And again, I've interviewed both, and they're both class acts. Couldn't happen to two better people. Tony?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the two people you think about when you think of Rocky is Larry Walker and Todd Helton. especially Todd Hilton for me. So I'm with you, Candy. What took so long? Todd Hilton played over 2,200 games for the Rockies. So, I mean, in my eyes, that's probably Mr. Rocky, right? So, I mean, it just makes sense. That'd be great. Yeah, just like I say, just if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be those two.
Okay, fair enough. Eric?
I mean, what took him so long? I mean, like Todd Helton's been retired for a while now. I mean, it should have happened right after he went to the Hall of Fame. I mean, you know, I grew up watching Todd Helton. I mean, he's probably the greatest Rocky of all time. I mean, sure, Larry Walker does, but it might have an argument though. But Larry Walker wasn't a Rocky for the entirety of his career. Todd Helton was. He could have gone anywhere else. He could have gone anywhere else during his career, and I'm sure he would have signed for, you know, what was then a bucket load of money, given, you know, payrolls were different at the time. But he didn't. He stayed in Colorado and endured some god awful Rocky teams. I mean, the Rockies were bad then, obviously not nearly as bad as they are now, but they were awful back then. And fans still came and fans still packed the ball. He still gave the fans their money's worth every night. And so, and actually, a fun fact is he was actually he actually also played football at the University of Tennessee. You know, and he was ahead of who was then a true freshman in Peyton Manning, right behind Jerry Colquitt.
Right.
Yep. And so that just tells you how ridiculously athletic he was. And Larry Walker, you know, he was elected in. I think he was elected in. I think he might have been the second Rocky elected in, if I'm not mistaken. But you know, how do you not honor those guys? It comes to show you the Rockies are not only behind when it comes to building baseball teams, but behind and honoring honoring franchise icons as well. I guess you have to do something when you nearly lose 120 games.
Well, amazingly, how you brought up the pain, man. I asked him about that, and he brought it up. That hey, listen, if I couldn't go ahead and get a job with Peyton there, I might as well play baseball. That was great. I'm glad you brought that up. You brought back a few memories there. Thanks. Let's talk about our feature topic of the night. Yeah, he's quite a player too, but he made the right decision. He played baseball just like Kirk Gibson did too many years ago with the Tigers. You know, he played wide receiver at Michigan State and ended up playing baseball for the Tigers. How did that work out? Actually, it worked out pretty well. All right, feature topic of the night: the Dodgers owe $2.11 billion to 10 players. Shohei Ohtani is worth $700 million over 10 years. Mookie Betts $365 million over 12 years. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, $325 million over 12 years. Kyle Tucker, $240 million over 4 years. Obviously, that's called salary cap territory, which we've talked about. Blake Snell, $182 million over 5 years. Freddie Freeman, $162 million over 6 years. Will Smith, $140 million over 10 years. And Tyler Glasnow, $136 million over 5 years. Barry, the Dodgers are printing money, man. Unbelievable stuff, isn't it?
Well, they are printing money, and that's why they can afford to do this. They had over $1 billion of revenue. Their salaries this year are going to be in the 425 range, I think, 425 million. League average is 42% of revenue per team. So for them, they're in the revenue average of what they've got revenue. So they probably even have a little bit more money they can spend. So, you know, it's a matter of, you know, if you got $1 billion worth of revenue, you can afford a $450 million payroll. So I don't think it's that's why they do what they do, because they have the revenue to do it. That's what's going to cause a walkout or lockout most likely in 27, because the players are never going to agree to a salary cap without a fight. And, you know, the small market teams are going to say, look, how are we going to compete when the Yankees have got $750 to $1 billion of revenue? These guys got $1 billion worth of revenue. So it's going to be a heck of a fight, I think, for the next CBA. So look out 27.
Yeah, that's why I'm getting all my baseball hay right now, Barry, because I know Elijah has 27 for that reason. Finn, Sammy, thank you very much for reposting this on the stream on X. We appreciate it. Candy?
The Dodgers are projected to be, yes, over $413 million, far exceeding the $244 million threshold. Due to extensive salary deferrals The actual cash payroll is lower at approximately 196 to 249 million. They've had, obviously the Dodgers are expected to surpass all 4 penalty tiers, resulting in 110% tax rate on excess spending. They have the revenue to do it. They're spending it. Yes, it make it a unfair advantage? Does it make the smaller market teams work harder? You bet. You bet they do it with younger, more rookie players than the Dodgers. The Dodgers are going out and getting more veterans that are more expensive. Is it fair? Well, we'll see how fair it is come next year when we're discussing if there's a lockout or not.
Tony?
I love it. If you got the money, spend the money. All right. There's no need to be cheap. They're getting it back. The only thing I don't like about it is I think they took the inch proverbial of the deferrals and they really took a mile out of it. Like I say, I don't like all the deferrals that is like manipulating the money in the contracts to create these deals. Like Ohtani only making $2 million a year on the front end of this is really what opened up a lot of these contracts to go through. But hey, man, they're not cheating. These are the rules that have been in the rule book for all this time. They're just able to do it. So hey, man, I like it. I think sports has historically been better when you've had dynasties and you've had like the empires that you're trying to strike down, whether you love them or hate them. So I think this is good for sports. You have the most watched World Series of all times at this moment because you either love the Dodgers or you want to see the Dodgers go down and the big bad empire go down. So, hey, I like it.
Eric?
I mean, we'll start though when it shows you that, yes, I think teams need to spend more, but also I think but while other teams are struggling just to be on TV next year, here are the Dodgers picking out players like they're shopping at a Louis Vuitton store while the rest of Major League Baseball is just begging to shop at Goodwill. But it's something that they can do because they have the market, they have the television deal for it. But here's the thing. They bring in 50 times the revenue out of other baseball teams that most other teams in smaller markets like Milwaukee or like Miami or wherever, like St. Louis, wherever other city you can think of, doesn't nearly have the money. You won't find a Peter Seidler owner who's going to spend his personal money like a drunken sailor on players. It just doesn't happen that way. They spend what the business brings in. And the Dodgers have the second largest media market, and they've got a sweetheart of a television deal that was given to them after Frank McCourt had won probably the most public divorce I've ever seen from an MLB owner, nearly bankrupting the team. And Bud Selig gave him that deal because he knew that if the Dodgers go bankrupt, he's got a problem. So there needs to be some guardrails in place for sure. I don't think a salary cap is necessarily the right solution, but since we're debating about it now, imagine listening to the people who are paid to debate about it, which will come up in 2026. If the Dodgers win the World Series this year, you can kiss 2027 goodbye. I guarantee it.
Well, you can make two guarantees because I'm with you, and you're 100% right. That's about right now. We're not kissing 2026, so we can talk about it for the next 360 days, right, Eric? Right there.
I expect.
Okay.
I expect them to be there in 2026. They all have contracts, and so they will be there.
Attaboy. Okay. Well, let's go back to the Dodgers because the Blue Jays actually offered Kyle Tucker a 10-year, $350 million deal. Now, when you get an offer like you got with LA, Barry, $350 million, 10 years, not bad for most people. But Tucker, not so fast, right, Barry?
I think it's a smart deal for the Dodgers. I mean, I'm not a big Kyle Tucker. I don't understand how he's anywhere near a $60 million a year player. But if you got to have him and you're willing to spend the money, I'd much rather have him knowing I can afford him at $60 million than have him for 10 years at $35 million a year when those back years he's going to be a mediocre player. So, I think you're going to see much more of this, especially with the teams that have big revenues, is to pay high numbers for shorter periods of time, so you don't get your roster screwed up, and you get, as we talked about last week, the Cabreras and the Pujols, who are Hall of Famers, but they're not Hall of Famers in those out years, those 4 or 5 years. You're still paying them.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of them. The PR would ruin the ball club. I think it's smart for the teams, but that's going to be another issue because it's going to affect arbitration. It's going to affect guys like we're going to talk about in a little bit. When you got a $60 million a year 5-WAR guy, he's not a 6, 7, 8, 9-WAR guy. He's a guy who's good but not great, and he's getting $60 million a year.
I'll tell you, Barry, you get better at this broadcasting thing every single week because he knows what Barry Foot people is getting an idea what these things called segues are, aren't you, Barry? Great stuff. Great minds thinking like you, Barry.
You're forcing me to, Scott. You're forcing me to put some time and energy into this now.
I don't force you to do anything. You were my manager. You forced me to learn the game of baseball because you know better because of it. But the fact that you're embracing it makes me feel really good. Better than that 33-degree weather I had to deal with up over the weekend. All right, go ahead, Candy.
Yeah, Tucker signed a 4-year, $240 million contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers. The deal includes opt-outs after the second and third years, a $64 million signing bonus, and $30 million in deferred money. Good for him. I mean, and yes, should they want to have these big contracts? They want to go long, but in the interest of the team, long contracts don't normally pan out in the long run. A lot of times you got to restructure because you can't afford, and you need to restructure if you want to have other players coming. Like let's face it, Tom Brady restructured his contract how many times so he could let other teammates get money too to attract good talent. Now, I'm not saying that Kyle needs to do that obviously with the Dodgers because the Dodgers obviously have one of the deepest checkbooks that anybody has, but there's everybody wants to get paid as well.
Tony.
Yeah, I'm with Barry and Candy. Look, I think this is the future of deals. No matter what happens with the next CBA and contracts, I think shorter deals, it'll still be big money, but I think this just makes sense. The first thing I thought when I saw Kyle Tucker's contract is this is like an NBA max deal where they're short, 4 or 5 years, you get a lot of money. But I think it works out, like you said, Barry, it works out for the team and it works out for the player, right? Because you can go get another bite at the apple in a short amount of time, right? If you really ball out in those 4 years, and like Kyle Tucker has an opt-out after 2 years. What if he goes get an MVP, right? And he wins a World Series on a good team like the Dodgers? Who knows where else he can go get another good deal like that? So I like it. We all hate to use people as examples, but we have to. We all saw Miguel Cabrera his last year. We also saw Albert Pujols his last year, right? These 10-year deals, we all know that by the time Juan Soto is making $70 million in year 12 of that deal, it's going to look terrible. He's going to be a DH. So this makes sense on all across the board, and I think that's the future of contracts in baseball.
Great points, Tony. Eric.
Well, the thing about it though now is, having these guys on short-term contracts is great. It protects the team from having to deal with a declining asset. Also, the player gets to go out in free agency and cash in again. And for the team, though, the player is motivated. You think he doesn't want to cash in again and again and again? He does.
Right.
And it's it works out well for both sides. Which 10-year deals used to be the thing where you could easily go where you go in there, you got security, you most likely have a no trade clause, and you're set for life at that point. However, when you start to decline, that deal just becomes a pain to deal with. We talk about Pujols. I'll talk about Alex Rodriguez. Of course, Alex Rodriguez is a very extreme example, but still, he was declining. And granted, not every player who declines brings the amount of noise that A-Rod brought at the time. But still, when you have a declining player, though, it's awful. I mean, the Reds had it with Ken Griffey Jr., I think, and he's just not putting up the numbers that you're paying him to put up, and it's just really bad. The only contract I can see that worked couple contracts I saw working out, for most of the 10 years, was Derek Jeter. And also, when John Lester signed his long-term contract with the Cubs, he was producing right up until about the end. But for the most part, though, everyone ends up like Jason Hayward. But it's just not good for both sides. The player's declining. He's still cashing in, and the team can't really do much of anything because, they have that big money deal, and you can't this isn't like the NFL where you can just release these guys and then pay them some money, and because most of those contracts are incentivized. Baseball, all the money's guaranteed, and no owner wants to empty out their pockets like that unless they have to.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, Barry alluded to it. Time to get to it. And this will be taking place Wednesday. The long-awaited arbitration hearing is going to take place. Now, Boris didn't allow the Tigers to counteroffer with Tarek Skubal. The arbitration was set to go this Wednesday night. Skubal's camp, $32 million, Detroit $19 million. And, of course, Skubal will join Team USA, obviously, for the World Baseball Classic. The stage is set, Barry. Barry, where do you think Skubal's going to wind up, 19 or 32 million?
Well, I think the Tigers are trying to lose that arbitration. What are they thinking coming in at 19 million? So I think he's going to have to get 32 million, and they're going to get a bargain at that.
Okay, Katie.
Yeah, I don't know how you can think that this elite pitcher is only worth 19 million. Like that's just a low ball. I mean, he's going to get the 32.
Tony.
Yeah, I agree. 32 is crazy, man. You got Zach Wheeler at 42, Jacob deGrom at 37, Blake Snell at 36, Garrett Cole at 36, Corbin Burns at 35. Dylan Cease just got $30 million. I think Tariq Skubal is going to get 32. And like Barry said, that is probably a bargain at this point.
Eric?
I mean, how do you come in at 19 million for a guy who's been an all-star the last 2 years and one of the last two American League Cy Young awards and is placed at least in the top 10 in MVP votes? What are you really trying to be that cheap? It's just that's the equivalent of trying to buy a used Toyota at a Ferrari dealership. It's awful. But it's going to but it's like, it's just awful on the Tigers' part. I mean, for sure now that he's going to test the market. His days as a Detroit Tiger are probably more than likely going to be numbered. So enjoy him while you can, Tigers fans, because he's more than likely gone. This is blatant by the Tigers that you're disrespecting a guy who's probably probably the top two best arms currently in the sport next to Paul Skeens. So, you're playing with fire, Detroit, and what I think is going to happen is ultimately I think Skubal is going to win. Otherwise, if he loses, though, the lockout just got a whole lot uglier.
The difference between Mike Ilitch and Chris Ilitch. That's all there is to it. Mike Ilitch, but instead of 32, you'd have given him 40 million. You wouldn't even be hitting those numbers, and talking Scott Boras. Okay, great stuff. Anything else you wanted to add, Barry? I think we all agree 32 million.
Well, I think this is a lose-lose for the Tigers. If by some crazy thing they were to win arbitration, they've lost the player for the year mentally. So I just don't see how it's a win for them, even if they win in arbitration.
Yeah, I agree. Tigers have really mishandled this one really, really bad. All right, well, guess what? Jazz Chisholm Jr., this is really funny. I kind of have to throw some of these WBC ones in there. Will play for Team Great Britain. Jazz is singing jazz in Team Great Britain, Barry. How is it possible? Is he going to be out over at the London Tower? This is just a match made in the UK, I think.
Well, I don't know him other than what I've seen on TV. I've often thought that he is not a Yankee sort of player, but he might be a great teammate. I don't know him. I don't know just what I see of him. Obviously, he has great ability. He can do a lot of things on the field. But he's always struck me as not a real Yankee type guy. But, hey, I don't know what the lineage is that got him over to be able to play with Great Britain, but more power to him. If he wants to play, then they can get on the U.S. team. Go play for the Brits.
Well, you know what? I got to know him pretty well with Candy. I'll tell you, Barry, if you've ever been around a more colorful, candid guy, Jazz Chisholm is that. He's
Yeah.
a happy-go-lucky is what he is, and he doesn't do too bad on the field either. He's a happy-go-lucky guy. But yeah, I don't know what to do with Bryn, but I thought it was worth mentioning it tonight, anyways. Candy,
So he's originally from the Bahamas. The Bahamas used to be and remains a member of the Commonwealth of the Nations with King Charles III as its head of state. So yes, back in it gained the Bahamas gained full independence from the United Kingdom back on July 10th of 1973, ending over 300 years of British rule. So I think that's how he's going in under Great Britain is that he is from the Bahamas. But we've seen him play when he was here with the Marlins. He brings an electric atmosphere to him, to the team, and an excitement, and a little bit of a cockiness to him too. But it's all good. He's fun to watch.
charismatic and electricity are the two ways to describe Jazz
There we
Chisholm.
go.
There you
Yep.
go. Tony,
Oh man, I'm excited to see him play in this setting. I'm excited to see the shoes. I'm excited to see the jewelry. I'm excited to see what color his hair might be. I'm just here for all of the fun of Jazz Chisholm in the World Baseball Classic. He's playing for an underdog, but he's a Yankee, so I'm a root for him. I think he'll be fun. I think in these situations where you can kind of let loose in a kind of all-star setting, I guess you could say. I know these games are serious. I think Jazz Chisholm will really thrive, man. So I'm interested to see how he does in this.
and Eric, you're a Yankee guy.
I like Jazz. I've liked him since he's come to New York. I know that there are some question marks about his time in Miami and the clubhouse and whatever, but since coming to New York, I haven't really heard anything too negative aside from he'll say something every now and then, but nothing really that's going to cause a massive amount of problems as he was perceived in Miami. But the Bahamas were once a British colony, so that's why the eligibility for him to play in Great Britain kind of comes in, though. So he likes the big stage. He likes the opportunity to make a big play. So good for Jazz.
Yeah, more power to him. It'll be interesting to see what colors he's wearing. I'm happy for him. He can play with WBC. Why not do it? And most of the rest of the show is going to be talking about that anyway, because Clayton Kershaw is going to be doing it as well. When you get the World Series, why not go out with WBC? What are your thoughts about Clayton Kershaw playing in the WBC, Barry?
Well, he could still get hitters out last year. So, in a short sort of series situation, he's going to bring leadership. He's got a certain gravitas. He's a Hall of Famer, will be a Hall of Famer. So I think it's good. I think it's also very good for WBC because it adds a real name guy, and in that environment where they can pick and choose when they use him, he could be valuable.
Candy?
I think it'll bring attendance and interest to watching more of the games now that we've seen a lot of the big name players that are going to be playing in it. And I think that's only great for the WBC.
Tony?
Yeah, why not add one more thing, one more notch under Clayton Kershaw belt if he can get a WBC championship on his way out. I went and saw him pitch down in Tampa this year, and it's not blowing you away. But like Barry said, he still can get outs. He went 10-3 this year, under 3 ERA. I'm sure he's rested up post World Series and playoffs. And he's not going to have to be the horse, right? So I think he can go get you 5 innings in a game or two in the WBC, and that's all you need. He's there for the leadership. He's there for the ride to be that voice in the dugout more than anything else, and then he can get you a couple outs as well. So hey, I love it for Clayton.
Eric?
Kind of a last hurrah for him because he said he was done with he was done playing baseball. I think he's just doing this because he just wants one last hurrah at it. He doesn't have to go to spring training. He just has to participate in this tournament for a couple weeks, and then he's done. So why not? Why not let him do it? I'm sure they'll allow him on the mound too to get him that playing time a little bit. And so, he's just doing it because he wants to, be a part of this event, and then he's done. So, I'm happy for Clayton. He's had a great career, and why not let him get this goodie bag on the way out?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Not like he's preparing for a 162 game season, just a few weeks and it's over with. So if you're going to have the last draw, you might as well do it on a mini stage. And I can only imagine what it'll be like if he ever gets a chance to face Shohei Ohtani if he gets that far. Oh my gosh, the drama theater there. Oh, it's just too much to mention. We'll continue on with the WBC theme. Alex Bregman's also joining Team USA. Barry, some thoughts about Alex joining the WBC?
Well, he's a good player. He's got a winning background. I think he's a good addition. He's just a solid player. He's not, for me, he's a very good player. I'm not sure he warrants the kind of money he's getting either, but he is a very good, solid player. He's got World Series rings to prove it. So I think it's a good addition.
Candy?
Yeah, he's a 2-time World Series champion, 3-time All-Star, Gold Glove Award, Silver Slugger Award. Kudos, like I said, kudos to the World Baseball Classic for getting some of these big name players to be in the game to pique more of our interest, because I have a feeling more of us will want to watch than we have in the past.
Tony?
I like it. He slides into that starting spot at third base, making Ernie Clement probably the second string, which isn't bad. Like, that's a good problem to have. We're adding depth to the team. I really like all of the stars from all the different countries, like Andy is saying, coming to this. This is about to be the biggest baseball tournament we've had probably ever when we think about it, especially when we think about the eyes that are going to be on it. Alex Bregman, we got Captain Judge. The list goes on and on. I love this for the WBC. I can't wait to watch it.
In about 2 weeks, I'm actually going to mention the rosters of everybody. I just wanted to start picking them apart a little bit. Then we'll have a final roster as we get closer to it.
Okay.
Eric?
I mean, Bregman's a good addition. Solid Gold Glove third baseman. Good bat to have in the lineup. I don't think he's worth what the Cubs are paying him, but still a good player to have. I mean, we'll take defense. You'll take defense and home runs any day of the week.
Yeah. Well, the reason why he's with the Cubs is the Red Sox refused to give Alex Bregman a no-trade clause in his contract, and he's played for 3 different cities in 3 years, Barry. I guess he gets, after a while, it gets old moving 3 cities in 3 different years, doesn't it?
It does. It's probably the Red Sox better win, because they didn't do it. That was the guy they wanted, and then they couldn't really fill the gap with anybody else. I'm not sure no trade. I mean, he's a solid guy. He's not a guy that you'll build your club around, but he's a guy that's going to contribute. Plus, he's a good defensive player. Good defensive players are usually good defensive players throughout their career. So I'm not sure it was a real smart move on their part to not give him the no trade, but we'll see how it works out in Chicago.
Yeah. Candy?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Barry kind of said it all. Like, that's a lot of money for them for him, but we'll see how it pans out. Some teams just keep spending and spending and spending.
Tony?
Yeah, I don't get the Red Sox. I don't get what they're doing. They're kind of botching this whole infield, especially third base situation. And then you don't pull the trigger to go after Donovan. So I'm like, Barry, I hope this works out for him. Actually, I don't. As a Yankees fan, I'm glad this is going to the hell. But yeah, I don't know. It's really confusing, right? You get rid of Rafael Devers, you bring in Alex Bregman, right, and then you don't sign him for a no trade clause. A no trade clause doesn't mean you can't trade him. It just means that certain teams they don't want to go to, right? So I mean, I think you give him that and you cross that bridge when you get to it. It's almost like you had plans to sign him to then trade him within like the next year or two, with making that a big stink about it.
Let me tell you, if a player wants to get out of that no trade, they want to get out of a no trade clause. Don't think that they can't spend a couple of dollars. Hey, just do it. We need to get this player. There's always ways to work around that on the surface. But all right, Eric.
I mean, yeah, there was a lot of frustration in Boston when they were unable to re-sign Bregman because he was such a big part of that team last year, and he was probably there. He kind of became their unofficial captain. And he was one of their better offensive players last year. But what are the Red Sox doing? I mean, granted, I'm not complaining because anytime the Red Sox are dysfunctional, it truly warms my heart. But yes, they but it's I didn't think he was, I think the Red Sox really, they need, I don't, they moved they pissed off Rafael Devers because they took him away from third base to put Bregman over there, which once they traded when they eventually traded Rafael Devers, I'm thinking, okay, they're going to use that money to extend Bregman because clearly he's the priority now, and they let San Francisco take on the entirety of that contract, and so you're thinking they at least got some money somewhere to make that happen and make him a Red Sox for life, but they didn't, and now he's on the Cubs, and now the Red Sox kind of are going to be rolling with some younger players over at third base. I think Marcelo Mayer is going to be. I think he's going to be that guy, but we'll see though. But it's I just think the no trade clause. I at the same time though, I didn't think he was worth a no trade clause. Granted, I get why he wants to, but you could have found some sort of compromise with them and said, maybe a 10-team no trade clause or a 5-team no trade clause. At least find some middle ground there. But knowing his agent is Scott Boras, I'm sure he wanted the full no trade clause because he likes to take the entire. He not only wants the buffet, but he not only wants something from one thing from the buffet. He wants to take the whole thing with him. So so unfortunately though, he's on the Cubs now. So we'll see how it pans out though, because Bregman has shown at times his bat can come and go.
Yeah, I'll go with the nature of that deal. By the way, it's a $70 million of it is deferred. The deal is with the Cubs for Bregman, 5 years and $175 million, and again, $70 million deferred. Barry gets back to what we've been talking about deferred contracts later. They're planning for the future, get enough money to get by. That's what you have with the Bregman deal, Barry.
Well, yeah, and I think 35 million, 34 million, whatever that number, 35, I guess it is. That's not, and then 70 of it being deferred. That's probably a fair deal in this market. It's good for everybody. It's really good for these players as they come up for new contracts because they were stalemated for quite a while where there weren't a lot of guys making these big numbers, and then suddenly you got the $70 million a year contracts, and now your borderline superstars are getting 35 to 40 million. That's good for the rest of the league. But it's going to be hard. It's going to really have an effect on arbitration. So, a lot of mediocre guys are going to be making 10, 15 million a year. And that affects payroll.
How do you not think of Bobby Bonilla when you start thinking of all these deals? All right, we'll leave it at that. Go ahead, Candy. It can't get out of my mind when you think of Bobby Bonilla and all these deferred deals now.
Where do I sign up? Where do I get one of those? I want to defer
exactly.
contract like that and get paid, after the fact. But good, kudos for him for signing something like that. But at some point, those deferred contracts have got to bite these teams in the butt.
Tony.
Yeah, like I say, look, man, they took the Bobby Bonilla and the other players from the past inch, and they're just making a mile out of it now to kind of manipulate the salary cap and the money. Like I say, that is the bigger issue than not having a salary cap, is like teams not having to pay the bill up front. But hey, if it works for you, do your thing. Alex Bregman, probably that money will come in probably after retirement, right? He's on the back end of his career. So, hey, he'll probably be in Texas somewhere, maybe Florida, state tax free, living it up on deferred payments, man. I ain't mad at him. Do your thing, Alex.
Tony has a good way of just, no big deal. I like your laissez-faire approach to this stuff. Good stuff, Tony. All right, good stuff. Yeah, laissez-faire if I ever saw one. All right, Eric.
Well, it's deferred contracts. They're not. I mean, the Dodgers have gotten out of control with it, obviously, but they're not the first team to use deferred contracts. I know the Arizona Diamondbacks years ago got into a lot of trouble with deferring contracts on pitchers that their owners were forced to sell to. I think their current owner Ken Kendrick. But there is a time where they do get out of control. The Brewers, for example, have some deferred money on Christian Yelich. The Reds recently just paid off their deferred money on Ken Griffey Jr. So, And then also the Orioles are still paying off Chris Davis, who parlayed his caffeine-laced sugar high year into a contract he had no business getting. But it's I think right now it's what we're seeing now. I mean, obviously social media amplifies it, but these deferred contracts are not the first they're not the first. I mean, Bobby Bonilla also has a deferred contract with the Baltimore Orioles. It's just that the Mets gets most of the attention because Bobby Bonilla was a textbook example of a clubhouse ruiner, and Bob Clapfish's worst nightmare. But he is it's like now it's just out of control. Social media just amplifies it, but they're not the first. They've been used before. They've been used for years. I think now that the Dodgers have found a way to circumvent that and find a loophole, some rules have to be put into place. They did it to Scott Boras when he made his college prospects into free agents. So I think rules will be put into play when it comes to deferred money contracts where you got to be footing some of the bill at once.
You get a lot of great points there, Eric.
Let me make one
ahead.
point, Scott. I had
please.
25 years of deferred money on my last contract. So you guys go easy on the deferred money now. My ex-wife really appreciated that too.
For what team? From George?
With the Cubs, actually, but Steinbrenner ended up having to pay most of it when I went over to the Yankees. It's wherever you ended up last. And so from age 35 to 20, or for 6 till 60, 25 years, I got a Yankee check. So it was good.
Oh, wow.
George Steinbrenner treated his people pretty well. He really did.
Well, he didn't have a choice. He had to. He inherited that contract.
Well, rest in peace, George.
I like George.
I've had my stories. At least George, he ended up footing the bill. Sorry, Barry, I had no choice but to go ahead and make that. You left me wide open, man, for it. What can I say? All right, well, Julio Rodriguez, WBC, Dominican Republic. Eric, some thoughts about Julio?
He's one of the most exciting players in the game. I think he's already been an all-star. He's a great defender. I'm talking. He has a cannon in the outfield. It's why when you tag up, runners are a little cautious there because the guy can really swing it from center field, and great power bat. And he's going on a loaded DR squad, which I think this year they are poised to make some noise. I mean, we keep saying that every year about the DR. And they end up being overhyped, like what the Dodgers were prior to 2024. But this year, man, they got Julio there. It's gonna be the DR has a lot to be excited about.
Tony,
yeah, they can go without adding anybody else, and I'll be okay. All right, they're scaring me for Team USA, but no, I like Julio Rodriguez. I echo what Eric said. Amazing in the outfield. Electric, another guy who can steal bases, somebody who can hit for power. So he's going to be a problem for whoever they face in the WBC. The whole Dominican team will be. It's just if they put it together. They put these teams together, and it seems like they don't take the game serious in pool play and group play, and then you look up and they're out. So let's see if they take this serious.
Katie?
I would say of all the sports, when you build a team and it's really just players from all over and they haven't played together, baseball is the one sport that you can do that and you can still have success. It's not like your NBA and you've got to pass the ball to people and stuff like that. You pretty much know if you're going to hit the ball, where you hit the ball, who's got to throw it to where and stuff like that. I think this just makes for exciting. Like I said, I don't know that I've ever watched WBC, but yet this year I'm intrigued by all the different names that are playing for all the different teams and can't wait to watch it.
Sure, you're on this baseball just show every week. You get to put them in the computer all the time and you see them. Well, when you want to watch a little bit, let alone the fact of being played in a ballpark we're all too familiar with. Go ahead, Barry.
Well, you're talking about a 5 tool guy. There's not many of those around, and that are true 5 tool guys. So it's great for the series. I'm with everybody on the discussion here. I think it's gives us all a good reason to watch it, and you do hope that the Dominican Republic, who is going to have as good of players as everybody else, maybe better, gets deeper into the series and maybe even has a chance to win it.
Yeah, so it makes this tournament unbelievable. One last player I want to mention. If he can stay healthy all year, he's a better story. But Byron Buxton, outfielder of the Minnesota Twins, is set to play his first WBC for the United States. Mary, some talks about Byron Buxton. The key with him has been his durability. Otherwise, there's no downplaying the fact that he's a heck of a player.
Well, he's in the league with Rodriguez when he's healthy. He's a great defensive player, and he's shown much better power in the last couple of years. But like you say, you got to stay on the field, and that's been his biggest problem. Is just staying healthy.
Candy?
Yeah, he's Buxton was considered by some baseball analysts to be the most talented player available in the 2012 MLB draft, and he was selected second overall pick. He's won the Golden Glove Award, two-time MLB All-Star. Yeah, kudos to him. I mean, again, all these big name players can't wait.
Tony?
If I'm the Minnesota Twins, I'm very scared of Byron Buxton playing in this game for the reasons that you highlighted. Health, man. Somebody who 126 games is what he played last year. That's the second most games that he's played in his whole career. I am very nervous with him playing in high leverage, high level games before the season start. This kind of reminds me of basketball with Joel Embiid playing in the Olympics and how that ruined basically his 2024, 2025 season. But if he can stay healthy and unscathed, more depth at the outfield position, he'll probably still be a backup behind Corbin, Judge, and PCA. But hey, I'm all for him. If I'm Minnesota, I'm very weary though.
Eric?
Well, Byron Buxton, if only he could stay healthy, I think he'd be an all-star every year. But unfortunately, that's been his Achilles heel, as he's been unable to stay healthy. But let's keep something in mind, everybody. The Minnesota Twins right now are a dysfunctional mess. Probably the only team that might be more dysfunctional with them at the moment is the Angels, whatever they call themselves these days. But the thing is, though, I mean, good for letting him play. And I'd like to say, though, I like how Buxton is decided to stick around in Minnesota. It deserves a little admiration, though. The guy could very easily ask for out and say, trade me, but he hasn't. So he's willing to kind of see what happens, and hopefully the Twins can stop being a dysfunctional mess and actually start to kind of get their rebuild underway, though, because I don't know why they decided to fire their GM, let go of their GM right now with a few weeks before spring training. But good. But Buxton, though, I mean, I got to be careful, though, because if he gets hurt, though, I can guarantee you it's going to look really bad on the Twins once again.
Yeah, there's no question he's a loyal kid, but health is the key thing. Our last topic tonight is not WBC, but you always wonder where good people continue on. Here's one. The San Francisco Giants have hired Ron Washington as their new infield coach. What are your thoughts about Washington, Barry, landing with the Giants, where all old managers wind up someplace or another? He's the latest one. He's going to be their infield coach of the Giants.
Well, he's got a great reputation, even going back as far back when I was around. Players really like him, and he has a tremendous reputation about his infield work. And I think there's plenty of players that have come out and talked about him turning their defensive prowess around. So I think it's a very good addition.
Candy?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get a former player that has done what he's done and played as many times, and then he's managed, so he's done it all. And I think those can make some of the best coaches because he's been in their shoes before, and I think sometimes players relate to them more so because of that.
I'll say one thing: Tony Vitelli won't have any shortage of good resources out there now. They add Washington to the mix, that's for sure. Go ahead, Tony.
He's there to fix Rafael Devers. No, I'm joking. I don't know. But I'm with you. I'm another veteran manager, somebody who knows the game to help a young coach. Ron Washington has won everywhere he's been coaching, whether he's been the manager or the third base coach. Everything that I seen when he was, we know what he did in for the Rangers, 2-time World Series. They didn't win, but he got him to the World Series 2 years in a row. He goes to Atlanta. Everybody raved for him. I thought he might have been, in line to be the head coach there, but he leaves. He goes to the Angels. Actually had the Angels looking like a decent team before he got sick there. So now him going to San Francisco is going to be pretty good. I like him there, Dusty Baker there, Bucci there. Like you said, a lot of resources to help a young coach is going to be good for the Giants. I like what Buster Posey's putting together over there.
Great point, Tony. Eric?
Well, I think first off, he's one of you can chalk him up on the list of all of Artie Moreno's managers, except Artie Moreno's trying to be George Steinbrenner, except he doesn't have the World Series trophies to back his claim up. But I like what I was a little skeptical of Tony Vitello when he got the job, but this is a guy who's really surrounding himself with a great amount of resources. He's not Urban Meyer thinking he knows everything there is to know about football and then looking like an idiot in the process. But he's got a wealth of knowledge there. He's got Ron Washington. I know Dusty Baker is there. I know Bruce Bochy is there. He also has Jace Tigler there as his bench coach, and Jace Tigler was the San Diego Padres manager for a little while there. So there are people in that office who have managed the game before, and it seems like Vitello is willing to learn. He's willing to listen to what they have to say about managing games. No, this is really good. I think Vitello is approaching this the right way.
I'm going to circle back to you, Barry. Okay. That you got a guy like Vitello, brand new to the Major League game. It's unprecedented that many college guys make the jump to Major League Baseball as quickly as he has. What are you thinking if you're Tony Vitello? I have all this wealth of information here to help me through this first year all over the place. And these guys are young. They're veterans like the Bochis and the Dusty Bakers and now Ron Washington.
Well, if he's not dissimilar to a lot of college guys, he may not even know who those guys are. But hopefully he does. I doubt he had much input in getting them. I think that's probably Posey doing that, and they're smart for doing it. I think it's going to be great to see how he manages this year. It'll certainly be. It's going to be precedent setting one way or the other.
That's for sure. Okay, great stuff, Barry. I was wanted to come back to you on this one. All right, well that does it for 186 baseball talk. Although, Candy, did you comment on this one yet?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, so good. That does conclude this edition of 186 baseball talk. Barry will be back in 2 weeks, but we're not done yet. We're going to let everybody know how they can get a hold of you. Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, on YouTube, you can get at me, Tony Talking Game. All other social media, Talking Game 1. I'm live Wednesday, 3:30. I'll be back here Wednesday at 8. It's Saturday. We're doing baseball.
Well, this Wednesday night, we're back on schedule for 9 o'clock.
Okay, 9 o'clock this Wednesday.
Exchange. Yeah.
Sports Exchange. So, yeah.
Yeah, Tony acclimates all the different stuff I throw at this guy. He does a good job with that.
Yeah. You'll see me here. You'll see me on Talking Game. Yes, sir.
Okay, Eric.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Sports Team News. And check out my blog at bellyupsports.com where I'm writing about all things Milwaukee Brewers. And if you think I don't like your team, I probably don't.
All right, Candy, take us the rest of the way. Hope everybody, I'm sorry if I coughed a little bit extra here, but every so often when you go up north and you're dealing with some colder weather you're not used to, the elements get to you, but I appreciate everybody weathering through it as well. All right, Candy, go ahead and take us the rest of the way.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, tuning into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his over 40 years in the media business and how it has evolved and changed over that time. Go get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. It's also available in audio version as well. You can also, there's a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you can find a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you want to be a guest or have topic ideas you want us to cover, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you like to listen to the audio version of podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Last but not least, if you see the red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to us. What are you waiting for? Just do it. Click it. Like us. Share us with all your friends and family, anyone that you think would enjoy our content. Monday nights, we talk baseball. Tuesday nights, we talk football. Wednesday nights, you never know what Scott's got up his bag of tricks for Sports Exchange. Thursday nights, come on over to the country club and see what I've got up my bag of tricks. And then again, Saturday mornings, a lot of times we do football. Sometimes we do baseball as well. And then we throw in some random shows all during the week as well. So definitely turn on those notifications so you're notified every time we go live. Back to you, Scott.
Yeah, I'll go to Barry.
I'll be back here in 2 weeks, Scott. Look forward to it. Good seeing you all tonight, and look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
Barry's my man. I only known the guy forever. He taught me a lot. Barry's been a great teammate, mentor of mine, and to have him with the people on this network, to me, it's just awesome, Barry. You know how I feel about you. I can't tell you enough times, and I'll never be able to worry about it. So, all right, well, that does it for this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. So on behalf of Barry Foote, Candy Ebling, Tony Talking Game, and Eric Katz, my name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us, and we will catch you the next time. Take care, everybody, and enjoy your week. Bye now.